Hello, 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 my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of the Astro Room live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. I meant to say, welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So this is the weekly Astro forecast for the week of July 29th through August 4th, 2024. So hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully your week is starting off well. We don't have a lot going on this week, but we do have a new moon and we do have a planet changing signs. Now, what's interesting is that the energy this week, there's only one way that I can describe it, and it's very specific, at least from my perspective. The messages, the synchronicities I've been getting have really been all pointed to one thing and one thing only, and that is love and relationships. Like this topic, this theme seems larger than life right now. And it makes sense because the sun is currently in Leo, Venus is currently in Leo, and will reach the critical anaretic degree in Leo, that 29th degree. And we also have a new moon in Leo. So that Leo energy is very concentrated right now and it's very potent. More so because the sun is the ruling planet of Leo. So the sun is at home, the sun is doing its thing. And like I said, relationships, the themes, the wounds, the lessons, all of that has been coming up so much. All right. And so there's a lot to talk about this week as it relates to love and relationships. But before I get into all of the details, housekeeping and announcements. So if you are joining me here on the live, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate you. Definitely say hi on your way in and hit that like button, please. And thank you. It lets the algorithm know that you like this content, so it will push it out to other people who may like it as well. So it definitely helps the channel. And if you are catching this on the replay, I appreciate you just as much. Thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely hope that you get whatever you are looking for out of this broadcast, whether it's confirmation, clarity, illumination. Hopefully, I got you. And if that is the case, hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification bell if you haven't already. All right. Now, let's say you're someone that wants your horoscope, but you either don't know where to look or whatever you're seeing just doesn't really resonate with you. Then you'll definitely want to consider subscribing to my text service where you will get your weekly horoscope texted to you every Monday morning. It's short, sweet, to the point, and people seem to really like it. I always get compliments on how much it resonates with them. So if you are interested, you will want to text the word zodiac to the number 855-826-5544. And don't worry if you didn't catch the number. The link to subscribe and be put on the text service is in the description box below. All right. And as always, if you are someone who is brand spanking new to astrology and you have no idea what's going on, maybe you're not so brand new to astrology, but you still have no idea what's going on, don't worry, I got you covered. So I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which essentially gives you the quick and dirty on everything you need to know to start studying and understanding astrology, mainly the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. So it's an 11-page PDF document that gives you a quick summary on all of these things so you can start studying them and committing them to memory. Because regardless of what anyone says or doesn't say, astrology is indeed a science. And like any science, it requires a good deal of study. So to help you start studying, I created this it is a treat actually, this cheat sheet. It's completely free. Link is in the description box below. All you need to do is drop your email address and you will be good to go. All right, so if you want even more content or you're just looking for a way to support the channel, then consider becoming a roommate. And this is joining our channel membership. So as a Divine Feminine Works Astro Room roommate. You will get exclusive roommate only content, early access to all of my general YouTube videos, plus you get 20% off of all of my products and services for good. You can use the discount code as many times as you want for 20% off. So, again, it's a great way to get more content, some freebies, and it's a wonderful way to support the channel. So, if you're interested, the link will be in the description box below. And my last announcement is that, well, I have two announcements. The first is that my signature service called The Blueprint, which is not showing up. Hold on. Please hold. There we go. My signature service called The Blueprint, where it is a natal chart reading where I help you understand your natal chart soup to nuts. It's currently 50% off. Hold on. I need to adjust my camera. It looks a little. There we go. Much better. Let me start over. So my signature service, The Blueprint, is my natal chart reading service where I help you understand your natal chart from soup to nuts. It is currently $50 off, but that only lasts until July 31st. On August 1st, the price will go back up. So if you're interested in getting this service at the discounted price, you'll definitely want to sign up sooner rather than later. And again, it's $50 off. The link will be in the description box below, and it'll also be tagged to the video, so you can actually get it that way. All right. All right. So let's get into it, because as I was preparing for this live, this flood of messages came through, and it's almost like Spirit had me go through a review. And this review was really about things I've been seeing over the last 2 weeks in particular. So what I initially heard was, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And then that statement was revised and it said, heavy is the head and the heart that wears the crown. And if you notice, so many people out here are walking around with really heavy hearts. If there's one thing that we want as humans, as the human species, is love. Love is something that we are made up of. Love is our birthright. Yet so many of us lack it in our lives. Whether it's voluntarily, whether it's involuntary, it's just so many people out here are just, relationships are such a hard topic. I mean, you can't even scroll through social media or even on your YouTube feed without seeing something related to relationships. And I'm not even gonna lie, the things that I've been seeing lately are wild on both sides. It's like you have these gender wars, you have people who want to be in relationships, but then they hate people. You have people talking about the worst aspects of relationships repeatedly. And so you have this collective energy of mistrust, of deceit, of, not even liking people. Like it's kind of hard out there. I'm not even going for it. I don't want to project that kind of energy, but based off what I'm seeing, it's crazy out there, right? And what's so interesting is that we live in a time where we have access to people in a way that we never did before. The rise of technology has been wonderful for allowing access to people, but people are lonelier than ever. I'm old enough to remember when, there were no cell phones. I'm also old enough to remember when texting wasn't a thing. So even when you had a cell phone, people still called each other. There wasn't just texting, but it's like taking it a step further. I met somebody recently, and rather than ask for my phone number or even ask for my Instagram, they asked for my Snapchat because that's how they like talk to people. And I'm just like, first of all, little boy, I'm a little too old for you because I'm not with this Snapchat shit. Second of all, what I find so interesting about Snapchat is that it's all about ephemeral messaging, meaning messages that disappear, right? And so people aren't even committed to talking to people in a way that's substantial. They'd rather talk to you in a way that, you can't see the messages. There's all of this hiding. There's all of this faking it till you making it. Like it's crazy out here, to say the least. Yet at the core of our being, we want love. We want acceptance. And these are the themes of Leo season, especially since we've got the sun in Leo, Venus in Leo, and we've got the new moon in Leo coming up this weekend. It's so easy to cheat. It's so easy to deceive. It's so easy to scam. It's so easy to present yourself as something that you are not, right? Like, this is the society that we live in now, unfortunately. And it makes sense that people don't trust people. It makes sense that people are jaded when it comes to relationships. You'll hear the craziest stories. Like, I'm sure you guys have heard at some point in time early this year about this woman who, I think her series on TikTok was called "Who the F Did I Marry?" and it was like a 60-part series on this like psychopathic, pathological liar guy that she ended up marrying. And so many people were like, "Yeah, I was in something similar like that, or something like that happened to me." And it's like, well, damn, what's really going on in these streets? Then this past week, I saw this barrage of videos on YouTube about women talking about men being hobosexuals, meaning men that are broke that will leech off of you, and how you have to beware of men being homosexuals and getting in relationships with broke men and all that stuff. Then you have on the other side men who distrust women because they believe that women are gold diggers. So even if the man doesn't even have two coins to rub together, he's already talking about a prenup and already talking about how he doesn't want to share his things in the event of a divorce, right? Everyone is divorce minded. And it's sad, to say the least. It's sad not just because these things are happening, but because despite the fact that these things are happening and people are having these experiences, at the end of the day, people just want love. Love that's not complicated, love that's genuine, love that's deep, love that's committed, right? Love that's drama free. Yet that seems to be the opposite of what people are experiencing. And Leo season kind of has the answer to this, right? Leo is like, listen, despite what's going on in the world, we move from our heart space. Point blank, period. Leo can be a lot of things. Leo can be regal. Leo can be main character energy. Leo could be very attention seeking. However, at its core, Leo energy is about moving from your heart and moving from a place of authenticity. Some of us have had our hearts broken so many times that if you were to look at your heart right now, it's taped up, it's glued, it's looking all wonky because it's been through some shit, right? And so again, it makes sense that people are hesitant to really get into relationships and give their all because they just don't want to get hurt anymore. But you have to cross that threshold of being guarded, right? Being guarded is not going to get you what you want. Playing all the games and doing all these things, it may get you what you want in the short term. However, in the long term, you'll realize that you're in a situation that you really didn't want. It's not what you thought it was going to be. And Leo season allows you to rectify that, specifically, not just for the sun and Venus being in Leo, but Mercury is about to go retrograde. And it's going to start in Virgo, but it's going to spend most of its retrograde period in Leo. So many of us are going to get a do-over when it comes to matters of the heart, which seems to be the biggest topic that people are concerned about, right? And that takes courage. Not only does it take courage, it takes work. It takes work. Now, the one thing about Leo is that Leo can be somewhat self-centered, right? Because Leo was all about, look at me. However, that's a good thing because all of that love that you're able to give, all of that love that you seek, you first have to cultivate it within yourself. Self-love isn't just a buzzword. Self-love is not even just a lifestyle. Self-love is a way of being. It's the natural way of being. Before society jaded you, before society made you think X, Y, and Z about yourself, it's self-love and it's that inner work. Mercury retrograde in Leo is going to have you taking perhaps a deep dive into your heart and examining what broke it and taking a realistic look at it. Mercury is a very logical planet, a planet that has a logical energy signature. This isn't like a Neptune where you've got rose-colored glasses and you're trying to see the best of something. This is like Mercury is like, all right, we've got to really sift through this and figure out where did this come from? How did this heartbreak occur? What was the circumstance that brought about this heartbreak? And when you get to the very bottom of things, you'll understand that it usually starts from a particular belief. Now, it takes some digging and it really takes some self examination to get to this level of work. Because what invariably happens is that people will re examine their heartbreaks and they'll just be like, oh, so and so did this to me. This was the situation. They did this to me. They were always like this. They did this, they did that. And it's not to invalidate the fact that someone may have done something to you that hurt. But when you go deeper, when you get to the really heart of the matter, which is what Leo is all about, you'll realize that it stems from a belief, and that belief informs your emotions, it fuels your actions, and then all of that gets reflected back to you in your relationship. Perfect example. Let's say you get in relationships and there's always fighting. Maybe there's a lack of communication, or there's communication that's always breaking down. There's always fighting. There's always dissent, right? You may be like, oh my gosh, I'm always attracting people who fight with me. I'm always attracting partners where we're always arguing. And yes, that can be true. But if you take it a step further, if you take it a little deeper, do you have a belief that you always have to be on the defensive? Do you have a belief that everyone is always attacking you? If you have a belief that you always need to be on the defensive, guess what? That energy signature requires that you have something to defend against. Hence why you are always going to be in arguments. It doesn't matter who it is. This particular situation, it could have been John that's always fighting with you. Next situation, it could be Eddie. Guess what? It's the energy signature. It's not them in particular. Until you change that belief, you're always going to attract the same energy signature with a different face. And then you're going to say, why can't I have a peaceful relationship? This is what we call a karmic cycle, where you are going round and round on a merry-go-round that you so desperately want to get off of, but you don't know how. And you have so many different situations that keep you on this merry-go-round. You know how you break the karmic cycle? You break the belief. Right? You break the belief. You have to have the courage, Leo. You have to have the courage to break that belief. To use my example, it is safe for me. I don't have to be on the defensive all the time. Not everyone isn't attacking me. Leo season is also great for inner child work. And this is super important, especially as it pertains to relationships. It's our early relationships, the relationships in the earlier part of our lives, that really set the tone for the rest of our relationships, and not even just romantic ones, right? And so doing inner child work gets you to realize where something stemmed from. And when you realize where something stemmed from, you can help to revise it. You can help to eradicate it. When you understand, okay, let's say that you had a very strict parent. Your parent was always nitpicking. Your parent was always attacking you, right? Verbally. You never did anything right. You always felt like you had to stick up for yourself because your parent thought the worst of you, right? It creates this belief subconsciously that you always have to be on the defensive. That's why when someone says something to you, it could be constructive criticism. It could just be their opinion. To you, it's an attack. And when you feel attacked, you attack. Hence why you get into this karmic cycle of constant arguing, right? When you realize that perhaps your parent was like that because of their own bullshit, your parent was like that because they were going through stress, you can forgive them, release that, and then change the belief, whereby you now believe that you're safe. No one's attacking you. You're not under attack. And when you realize that, the next time that you're presented with a situation where you feel like you're being attacked, you act differently because now you have a different belief. Someone gives you constructive criticism or they express their opinion to you, you're like, oh, okay, this isn't an attack. Okay, I can listen to this person. And guess what? In that moment, you've broken that karmic cycle. Now, again, this requires a level of courage. And luckily for us, the sun is in Leo, so it's giving us this courage. You know, the mundane example of sun in Leo is like, okay, and I say it all the time, it's heart-centered energy. It's tapping into your heart's truest desires, right? Tapping into your truest desires, like a lot of us are afraid to desire certain things because of our fears, because of our blocks, because of our karmic cycles. So many people are lonely as fuck. They want a relationship, but they're even afraid to admit it to themselves that they want a relationship. Right? They're afraid to be soft. They're afraid to be warm and loving. They're afraid to move with an open heart. And they're even afraid to admit that to themselves. Leo season demands that you get really authentic with who you are. That includes your desires. Don't be afraid to want what you want. Understand what it takes to have what you want and have the courage to do the work to get what you want. This is a great time to talk about this because we have a new moon in Leo coming up on Sunday. And this new moon is all about planting new seeds and setting new intentions for the things that are in your heart. The things that you truly want. The things that you have the courage to desire. It's like you have to take the breakers off of your desires. Yes, you've been heartbroken. Yes, you've been hurt. But that doesn't mean that you have to go into the future expecting that. Doing the work, and I just explained what the work is, eradicates all of that. Is it scary? Yes. Is it challenging? Yeah. But don't you want what you want? Aren't you tired of living a life or living in a situation that's less than fulfilling? So have the courage to do the work, especially as it pertains to relationships. It's not just about having a great relationship. That is definitely part of it. But we're living in a time where love needs to prevail. Love is trying to prevail. It is no accident that you're seeing all of this polarizing energy, especially when it comes to men and women. It's because we're getting to a point where love has to reign. And there are certain people who definitely don't want that. So don't buy into the polarizing energy. If you want a relationship, you can have the relationship that you want. But you have to have the courage to want it and to do the work to have it. So hopefully that didn't go over your head. Hopefully that made sense. And hopefully you hear this message when you are setting your intentions for this new moon in Leo. Because again, this is the perfect new moon to manifest matters of the heart. So it's time to get your heart right. It's time to have the courage to get your heart right. All right. So hopefully that message finds whoever it needed to find. All right. So now that I've gotten off my soapbox, let us get into the week and see exactly what we've got going on. And as always, we start with the highlights. All right. So we have what I like to call first sudden encounters, and this is Venus square Uranus. All right. So this is surprise encounters, exciting new romance. All right. And also some impulsivity when it comes to shopping and spending money. So always an interesting transit nonetheless. Then we have what I like to call open your heart. And this is the new moon in Leo. And this just really goes back to everything I was just saying. All right. This is planting new seeds of passion and romance, listening to your inner child, and allowing yourself to be creative and unique. And then finally, we have what I like to call make it make sense. And this is Venus in Virgo. So this is getting organized and efficient with money, This is being of service in a valuable way, and this is infusing creativity and beauty in your everyday life. All right. So let's keep it moving and see what we got going on for the week. So today we have the moon in Gemini. Tomorrow we've got Venus trine Chiron. Wednesday we have the moon moving into Cancer. Thursday we've got the sun trine the north node. Friday we've got Venus square Uranus. Saturday we've got Mars sextile the north node and the moon moving into Leo. And thereby we close out the week with the moon moving into the new moon phase in Leo and Venus moving into Virgo. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so we start off the week with the moon in Gemini, and you will see that at the right-hand portion of the chart, the moon is at 0 degrees of Gemini. All right, so whenever the moon is in Gemini, we have ants in our pants. It is a time when we are multitasking, we're communicating. Things tend to get really busy when the moon is in Gemini. It's great Monday kind of energy. Monday in our society kind of energy. Mondays are ruled by the moon, and Mondays are actually meant for a day of rest. So technically, our weekend should be Sunday and Monday, but that's another story for another day. However, because we're conditioned to do the most on Mondays, with the moon in Gemini, we can do the most. We can multitask and do all of the things, right? So when the moon is in Gemini in the waning phase, right, we are making our way to the new moon. So the moon is decreasing in illumination. We get rid of what no longer serves us. And with Gemini being a sign that has a lot to do with our mental activities, our communication, and our ideas, this is the time when you want to divest yourself of any narratives that do not serve you. And this kind of goes back to everything I was saying before. If you examine your beliefs and figure out, okay, because I believe that all men are trash, I keep attracting garbage can men, maybe I need to change my belief. The moon in Gemini, especially in the waning phase, is perfect for that. So whenever the moon is in Gemini, even though you feel like doing the most, doing all of the things, take some time to just think. Not even just meditate. I'm talking about like brainstorm, think. Right? Try to limit distractions and think. Take some time to examine your thoughts, where they come from, what beliefs these thoughts stem from. It'll really help you, especially as we make our way to that new moon in Leo. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so tomorrow we've got Venus trine Chiron. So you will see Venus at 23 degrees of Leo at the very top portion of the chart. And then on the right hand portion of the chart at the bottom, you will see Chiron at 23 degrees of Aries. So Chiron is the wounded soldier. Chiron has everything to do with our wounds, our traumas, all that good stuff. Now, with Venus currently in Leo, has everything to do with heart-centered matters, aka relationships. So this particular transit is great for understanding your wounds and traumas with respect to relationships. Now, one of the ways that this may play out is that you attract people who can help you get over these wounds. Now, for some, this may sound triggering, right? It's like, okay, so if I have an abandonment issue, does that mean that I'm going to attract someone who's going to abandon me? Not necessarily. This is more so people who can help you understand these wounds and these trauma in a beneficial kind of way. So this could be a therapist, it could be a friend, it could be someone who is sort of objectively helping you understand how you view relationships, how you view self-worth, self-esteem, all of that kind of stuff, right? But most importantly, this gives you beneficial opportunities that help you transform. So I was just talking about everything having to do with relationships and the work that we have to do. This particular transit, namely Venus trine Chiron, helps you do that, especially while the moon is in Gemini. While the moon is in Gemini, you can examine those beliefs. And with Venus trine Chiron, you can do it in a very beneficial an effortless kind of way. That's why I said it'll really help you to take some time to just sit and think, sit and examine. Maybe you're in a relationship. Maybe you're not lonely. Let me not assume that everyone is uncoupled, right? But maybe it's just not how you wanted it to be, or maybe it could be better. Taking the time to examine those beliefs, those thoughts, and how those thoughts inform your actions will help take your relationship either to the next level or will just make it better. Either way, Venus trine Chiron is going to help you understand your wounds and your traumas and your insecurities as it relates to heart centered matters. And with Chiron currently being retrograde, and Chiron being in Aries, like you're going to be very motivated to do this. Like you're almost, I'm not going to say you're going to be obsessed, but I will say that you're going to have this drive and this desire to really do this inner work. So it'll really benefit you if you're proactive and intentional about doing it, especially between today and tomorrow. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. So next up, we have the moon moving into Cancer on Wednesday. So you'll see at the bottom portion of the chart, the moon will be at 0 degrees of Cancer. All right. So the moon is at home in Cancer, so it feels super comfy. Now, with respect to everything I was saying before, right? We're talking about heart-centered matters. We're changing our beliefs. We're addressing our wounds and our insecurities. With the moon in Cancer, we're very much concerned with our basic emotional needs, one of which is love, the other of which is acceptance. There are a bunch, right? But at our core, we need love as a human species, right? Now, with the moon waning in Cancer, this is about divesting yourself of anything that's not in alignment with your basic emotional needs. So if you have a relationship that is unfulfilling, maybe you have a relationship that's very superficial and doesn't give you the depth and the emotional security that you need, maybe it's time to examine it. I'm not necessarily saying that you need to kick this person to the curb while the moon is in Cancer. I mean, if you want to, that's on you, but maybe a time to really examine, all right, how does this person make me feel? Am I the one it's not to say that someone has to prop you up in a relationship, right? They can't be your foundation. You kind of have to set your own foundation, right? But do they make you feel loved? Do they make you feel accepted? Do they make you feel like just loved? Good. Do they make you feel good? These are some of the things that you're going to want to sit with over the next couple of days. And it may be difficult because it may bring up memories of the past. It may bring up emotions from the past, but that's a good thing. Understand that you merely are observing these things. You're not holding on to them. You're not taking them in. You're not reliving them. You're feeling them so that you can purge them. We're in the waning phase of the moon. It's all about purging. And anything that is not in alignment with your basic emotional needs to go, especially when the moon is in Cancer. All right, let's keep it moving. Next, on Thursday, we have the sun trine the north node. So you will see the sun at 9 degrees of Leo at the bottom of the chart. At the top left-hand portion of the chart, that horseshoe is the north node, and you'll see that at 8 or 9 degrees of Aries. All right, so the first thing I want you to notice is that both the sun and the north node are in fire signs. So this is all about our desires. This is about our passions, right? I'm sure you've heard from me, or if you haven't heard it from me, I'm sure you've heard it from others, that the things that you desire are actually God given. It's God wanting to experience those things through you. And so that's why the elements of fire and fire signs are really associated with spirit, kind of like the Holy Spirit, right? And so with both the sun and the north node in fire signs, it's really about our passions and our desires. Now, sun is in Leo. I think I've talked ad nauseum about Leo energy and how it's heart-centered, authentic, all of that good stuff, right? Now, the north node is where we are supposed to go. And where we're supposed to go, where we're headed, especially at this time with the North Node in Aries, it's really about, okay, what is our goal? What are we focused on? What are we fired up about? And you kind of limit all other options, you limit distractions, and you have like this laser like focus. So, with the North Node in Aries, we are like laser like focused on our North Star, on our forward trajectory. And the fuel that is fueling the car that we're taking to get to that forward trajectory or to be on that forward trajectory is our desires and it is our heart space. So, this is a great opportunity to perhaps rediscover something that you are really fired up about. This is like getting this almost divine inspiration and motivation to move in a particular direction. And it's in the direction of where you are ultimately meant to go. This is a very feel good, fiery, very, I want to say hot and heavy, but that's kind of not necessarily the best phrase to use. It's this desire, right? It's like you have the car and the engine is revved up and ready to go forward. And what I love about this particular transit also is that it fosters self-expression. So wherever you're headed, you're doing it from a very authentic place. And this authenticity comes effortlessly because this is a trine. So keep your eyes open midweek as to what inspires you, what motivates you, something that you feel fired up about. You may start feeling this already because I know today I got re energized with an idea I had in the past. And Spirit was kind of like, listen, you really need to do this thing. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I was really interested in this before," right? And this thing is sort of gonna help me move forward with respect to other things that I'm doing and working on and being, right? So it's really important that you listen to your impulses around midweek because they're gonna inform you as to where you are headed, okay? And again, it's gonna be an effortless sort of way. However, sorry, every time I do these lives, I feel like something is tickling my nose. Yes, this is gonna happen in an effortless sort of way, but it is gonna require some courage on your part. It may require some courage to get started. It may require some courage to take that first action step. Have that courage. Use your courage in order to take, even if it's a baby step, take a baby step forward. Now, the other thing that I will say, oh man, it was on the tip of my tongue. What was I gonna say? Courage. Oh, self-confidence. One of the hallmark energy signatures of Leo is self-confident. Leo has main character energy because of self-confidence. Now, the sun and Leo energy has a lot to do with the solar plexus chakra. That's where we shine. That's also the seat of our willpower. So, in addition to having the courage to take that action step, you have to have the confidence to move forward and move forward authentically. So, again, it's going to require some effort on your part. However, things are going to kind of just fall into place once you take that initial step. So, take that step and pay attention to what fires you up midweek. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. And then on Friday, we've got Venus square Uranus. So at the bottom of the chart, you will see Venus at 26 degrees of Leo. And the left hand portion of the chart, you will see Uranus at 26 degrees of Taurus. All right. So both Venus and Uranus, Venus is in Leo, Uranus is in Taurus. They're both in fixed signs. And that's important because fixed signs are kind of immovable. They're fixed, hence why they have that name, right? Uranus and Taurus, though, it's all about moving you out of your comfort zone. Uranus is very erratic, rebellious energy, and Taurus is fixed. Think of the bull, right? So there's this energy of moving erratically based off of your instincts and your intuition. Whereas Venus also in Leo kind of has this heart centered, relationship, warm, and generous energy, right? Now, Venus square Uranus, anytime you're talking about Uranus, You want to expect the unexpected. I call Uranus the hand of God because God does what God needs to do. And it's not always, doesn't always inform us of these things, right? It's really about sometimes chaos, sudden changes, sudden moves, right? So you have to remain flexible and expect the unexpected. Now, this could be unexpectedly meeting somebody. This could be unexpectedly bumping into somebody. If you are coupled, this particular transit can be difficult because it fosters cheating. Like, I'm not even going to lie to you. It fosters wanting something outside of your normal routine. Okay, so that's something to think about if you are coupled, right? If you're bored, if you're smothered, if you're confined, if you are in a relationship that is loveless, even if you're in a relationship that is sexless, if you are in a relationship that doesn't fulfill you, doesn't give you that romance, this particular transit is going to have your eyes wandering a little bit, maybe having you look at someone or entertain someone where you feel you could find that love, that sex, or that romance, right? So, it it could be a situation that doesn't necessarily feel good, okay? We're talking about a square, and a square denotes tension and frustration. So you may have the desire to do something, but the conditions aren't right. Or you're in a relationship where you want to experiment and your partner doesn't. It's this tension and frustration in terms of matters of the heart or even money on the one hand and sort of venturing out of your comfort zone on the other hand. Now, Venus in Leo also has a very creative component to it. Venus is the planet of creativity. Leo is the sign of self expression. So, expressing yourself and being creative is also a big theme with Venus in Leo. However, with Venus square Uranus, this could have something happen where you feel a little less than confident expressing yourself or where your creativity is stifled. All right. This transit isn't going to last too long, so you don't have to worry about it. However, expect the unexpected with this particular transit. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, on Saturday, we've got Mars sextile the North Node and the Moon moving into Leo. So you will see at the upper right hand portion of the chart, we've got the North Node at 8 degrees of Aries. At the right hand portion of the chart, we've got Mars at 9 degrees of Gemini, and I forgot to circle the moon, but the moon will be moving into Leo that same day. All right. Mars sextile the North Node. So we've got two transits involving the North Node this week. We have the Sun trine the North Node, like I mentioned before, and we've got Mars sextile the North Node. So Mars sextile the North Node, opportunities to take action toward your North Star. Action forward, action steps to your goal, your life purpose, your vocation, your soul mission. That's essentially the gist of it. Now, understand that these opportunities will present themselves, but it's really up to you to take advantage of these opportunities. And what I like about this transit as well is because it's like your mind is going to be on fire. Mars is currently in Gemini. So you're going to have these really fiery ideas, these ideas that are really in alignment with your passion. And then you act on them. This could be putting a plan in place. This could also be taking some sort of action steps, whether it's speaking it into existence, writing it down, communicating with someone about it. Is definitely the type of actions that you could take toward your life purpose, soul mission, all of that stuff. But again, it's just opportunity. It's up to you to actually take advantage of those opportunities. And then we have the moon moving into Leo. And that pretty much reiterates everything I was talking about before. This is about tapping into our heart space, being confident, being courageous enough to be our authentic selves. This may also have to do with children, creativity, our self-expression, having fun and entertainment. These are all of the sort of textbook ways that the moon in Leo will manifest, right? Now, remember, the moon is going to be still in the waning phase on Saturday. And so essentially, anything that doesn't feel good to you, anything that's not fun, anything that your inner child would hate, you kind of want to divest yourself of that, or at least divert your focus from all of that stuff and focus on what feels good and focus on what is fun. All right. Let's keep it moving. And then finally, we get to Sunday, and we have the new moon in Leo, plus we have Venus moving into Virgo. So at the top portion of the red circle, you will see both the sun and the moon will be at 12 degrees of Leo. And then later on that day, currently Venus is at 29 degrees of Leo. So on that day, Venus will be at the critical degree, the 29th degree. And then later that day, it will move into Virgo. So, new moon in Leo, planting new seeds, setting new intentions, all of that has to do with what we really want, what is in our heart. You know, speaking to the idea of authenticity, right? A lot of our desires aren't even ours. It's things we are conditioned to desire. And this new moon in Leo, you don't want to plant seeds that someone else has planted in you. Maybe you want a lot of money, but maybe you don't necessarily want to be a millionaire. Maybe you want a lot of money, but maybe you don't want to be an entrepreneur. Like, have the courage to want what you want and then plant those seeds. Also, have fun with this. Above all else, and apart from all the other zodiac signs, Leo is the one that is about fun and childlike energy. So, whatever rituals you do for this new moon, infuse an element of creativity and fun into it. You don't need to take this so seriously. Literally speak to your inner child and say, how do you want to do this? Maybe you want to write it in crayon. Maybe you want to write your intentions in crayon. Maybe you want to color. Maybe you want to play, right? Anything that is any way to infuse fun and creativity into your new moon rituals is only going to add fuel to the fire in a good way. So examine what's in your heart, be courageous enough to really want what you want, and then plant those seeds at the new moon on Sunday. And then we close out the week with Venus moving into Virgo. So Venus in Leo and Venus in Virgo, two completely different energies. In Virgo, Venus is known as being in fall. So, quick astrology lesson. We have this thing called essential dignities. And basically, it means that different planets perform differently in different signs. Some planets perform better in their home sign than they would not in their home sign. When a planet is in its home sign, it's called its domicile or its home sign. When a planet is in the sign that is opposite its home sign, it's called its sign of detriment. Then you also have planets that are in exaltation. So when a planet goes into a sign that is of its exaltation, it's not at home, but it's treated like the guest of honor. So it elevates that planet to a certain status. And then when a planet is in the sign that is opposite its sign of exaltation, it's known as being in fall. Venus is exalted in Pisces. So Venus naturally is in fall in Virgo. All of this means that Venus can't express itself well. If a planet is in its sign of exaltation, it's like the guest of honor. They roll out the red carpet for that planet. When a planet is in its sign of fall, you are in a house where people don't necessarily like you or understand you. And so when Venus is in Virgo, Virgo has a hard time understanding Venus. Venus is a little too emotional for Virgo, number one. And number two, Venus is like free flowing. It's about attraction. Virgo is very down to earth, analytical. Okay. So it's really, Venus is not necessarily at home. Well, it's definitely not at home in Virgo, but it's not necessarily comfortable in Virgo. However, Venus in Virgo is great for money matters, I believe. Since Venus rules money and Virgo is all about analyzing, organizing, making efficient, making order out of chaos is Virgo's thing. So Venus in Virgo, this is the time to really get your money right, your money in order. This is the time for you to look at your statements. This is the time to figure out where you're spending your money, how you're saving your money, checking on your savings accounts and your investments. It's about getting your financial life in order. And especially if it's chaotic, it's a great time to make order out of that chaos. Venus in Virgo is definitely not sexy. It's not sexy kind of energy, but it's definitely necessary to get things in order. And also, when it comes to matters of the heart, right, which, Venus kind of covers because Venus covers relationships and Venus also covers money, you look at them in a very practical sort of way when Venus is in Virgo. So, money matters, relationships, you're looking at it from a very practical sort of way. However, because Virgo is very perfectionist and detail oriented, you may find that when Venus is in Virgo, this is when your partner nitpicks at you. This is when partnerships can experience a very critical energy where you're very critical of each other. Again, Venus isn't necessarily comfortable in Virgo. So you kind of have to be easy when it comes to criticism, be easy when it comes to being very practical and not very loving and fair and all of those Venus kind of energy signatures, all right? But again, I think Venus in Virgo is excellent for money matters. And that is how we end the week, all right? So now let us get into some messages from Spirit. All right. So you guys know the deal. This is the part of the broadcast where I pull cards for messages for each sign from Spirit. Now, I do this by sign. However, whatever message resonates is for you, whether it's your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, Venus, Jupiter, North Node, doesn't matter. If it's your message, it's for you. And if it doesn't resonate, just let it go. All right. So, always, we begin with Aries. Let's see what we've got for Aries for this week. Aries, you've got two. All right, we've got door to value. And we've also got envy. All right, Aries, I'm hearing there's two situations here. Number one, you could be doing really well financially. I want you to look at this, right? You see all this money, this doorway is opening. Money is coming your way. It's a 31, which 31, which reduces to a 4, right? It's all about stability. So whatever money you've got coming in, whatever money you're enjoying, it's here to stay, right? And you may have other people who are looking at you like, damn, how is it that Aries is getting this money? Like basically haters, basically people who envy what you have, not realizing that perhaps what you have came from either a difficult situation. So I'm hearing like an inheritance. So maybe someone passed away. Or this could just be your own grit, your own sweat equity that's causing this door of value to open. So never mind the people that are hating, never mind the people that are envious. I mean, this woman looks like an old shrew, so she needs to get her life together over here, right? But you're doing well financially. So block out the haters and keep doing what you're doing. Okay? All right, next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we have for Taurus for this week. All right, Taurus. We've got man holding a coin. So this could either be you or this could be someone that you are dealing with if you deal with men. All right. So man holding a coin. This could be, I'm hearing sugar daddy vibes. I'm hearing someone who has money. They have some coin, right? But most importantly, perhaps this is the seed that you want to plant at this new moon. Someone who's financially stable, someone who has money, someone who is good with money. For some, I'm hearing this isn't necessarily even romantic. This could be like an accountant. This could be a money manager or a wealth manager. For some of you, that may be a seed you want to plant at this time as well. I'm getting because a lot of you have money on the brain. You either have a desire to get your finances in better order or you've come into more money and you kind of need to figure out how to make the best money moves. But I'm not going to lie, the majority of you are like, yeah, I want him to have money. I'm not trying to have a hobosexual. So have fun with your new moon rituals and plant this kind of seed. Okay? All right. Next up, we've got Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini for this week. Okay, Gemini, you've got two as well. Okay. We've got man holding a heart. And we've got appreciation. Oh, Gemini, you guys may be experiencing love and you're appreciative of the love you are receiving, right? Now this does say man holding a heart, but it could be anybody, right? Maybe just someone with masculine energy. Either way, love is here for you. and you're very appreciative of it. Now, if you're saying, Mel, I don't have anyone in my life, so this obviously doesn't resonate with me. Guess what? The key to this is appreciation. Even though she's holding this rose, right? But you see all around her, it looks kind of dry. There's nothing else really going on, but she has the rose in her hand and she's appreciative of it. You have to call into existence that which you already have. You have to act like you have it already. So even if you don't have love in your life, thank God, thank the universe, thank whoever you believe in for the love that you already have. It's yours already. Appreciate and have gratitude for it, and it will appear. All right. So either way, whether you have the love in your life or you don't, appreciation is the key to everything, especially this week. All right. All right. So that was Gemini. Next up, we've got Cancer. Oh, that came out quickly. Cancer, we've got indecision. All right. So this, especially because of the number 8, this is letting me know that there's been something that you've been indecisive about for a minute. You've been straddling the fence for a long time. For some of you, I'm hearing it's like, should I quit my job and do what I love, or should I stay at my job and just let this dream go? Some of you are really at an impasse where it's like your desire is getting too big to ignore, and you have to figure out what you're going to do about it. And since you have the ability or you have the energy at your disposal this week with this new moon in Leo, sorry for moving the camera, to plant seeds of things that you really love, you kind of want to make a decision this week because you're going to be able to set in motion a new pathway that represents everything that you love and everything that you truly desire and what's truly in your heart. So take some time this week to figure out your shit, figure out what you really want, and be prepared to make a decision, be convicted in that decision, and then plant those seeds at that new moon in Leo. Speaking of Leo, next up we have Leo. Let's see what we have for you for this week. All right, Leo, we've got patience. Okay. Things are still unfolding. Okay. So it's going to require a little more patience. Every time I see this card or a card like it, this reminds me of the Temperance card in the Tarot. It reminds me of the fact that Spirit is still alchemizing things, Spirit is still cooking your meal. It's not quite ready yet. And so your message is simple. Just keep the faith and have patience. It is indeed on the way. It is indeed going to manifest. It is indeed going to materialize. You just need to wait a little bit longer and take that as it resonates for you. Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we've got for Virgo for this week. Virgo, we've got second chakra archangel Ariel, and this is your sacral chakra. This week is going to be imperative that you tap into your creative abilities, whether it's your sexual energy or whether it's just your ability to generate things, to create things. This is the energy that you want to be in, specifically as we move into the new moon in Leo, because Venus is in Leo, Sun is in Leo, new moon in Leo has a lot to do with our creativity. So you really need to tap into that. And if you find that you have blockages when it comes to your creativity, you're going to want to do some sacral chakra clearing work, whether it's a meditation. You can find a million of them on YouTube. Whether it's listening to sacral chakra frequencies like a sound bowl or something like that, you're going to want to do that because you want your creative channels to be open and clear as you move into this new moon, because this is going to be all about creation, whether again you're creating from your sexual energy or you're just creating things generally. Okay. Next up, we've got Libra. See what we've got for Libra. Oh, Libra, we've got broken heart. Okay, this is self-explanatory, right? Well, but what I like about this is the number 9 is that this is ending. I feel like this is the new moon where you could really change things around. If you've been walking around with a broken heart, right? Like I talked about before, this is when you can really turn it around, but you have to be confident. You have to be courageous in the fact, and you have to be very authentic in your desire. Some of you are so used to this that you think that this is how life is and that this is how it's always going to be. It's not. Trust me, it's not. So be resolute in your desire to have a fulfilled love life, to not walk around with a heavy and broken heart. Set those intentions, get real with yourself, get real with what you really want, and set those intentions and plant those seeds at this new moon so that you can ameliorate this. It's not going to happen overnight. Like I said before, it's going to take some work. However, if you plant those seeds now, eventually, and I must say it'll be sooner than you think, you will no longer be experiencing this. And I know you don't want this anymore. All right. Next up, we've got Scorpio. Let's get into Scorpio for this week. Oops. I'm not going to take that one. Let's try this again. So, Scorpio. There we go. Scorpio, we've got strategy. All right. So this is a week where I believe, especially beginning today with the moon in Gemini, your mind is really on overdrive. You're creating a strategy for yourself. Now, I'm getting the sense that it's for something long term and substantial, like something that you would want. This almost gives me like a contract, almost like a contract you want to sign. It's interesting. I don't know if you can see this, but at the top of the card, we've got a key into a keyhole, something that you want to uncover, something that you want to lock down. I feel like this is a week where you're putting together a strategy. You're thinking of a master plan when it comes to how you're going to get this thing. If you notice, there's like a seal over here, it looks like. So I'm getting contract, I'm getting something official. I'm also hearing like maybe you want to lease office space, maybe you want to however this resonates for you, it resonates. It's something substantial, something that you want to lock down, something that you want to sign a contract for. Think of a master plan this week, and perhaps these are the seeds that you want to plant at this new moon in Leo. Next up, we've got Sagittarius. See what we've got for Sagittarius for this week. All right, Sag, we've got sixth chakra, Archangel Metatron, and this is your third eye chakra. So, regardless of what you do, regardless of what you want, regardless of where you're headed, this is the week where you are going to listen to your intuition and you're going to allow yourself to be guided by your third eye, otherwise known as your first eye. So it's not about what you see with your physical eyes, it's what you sense. Especially with the two North Node transits, Sun trine North Node and Mars sextile North Node. I feel like your intuition is going to take you exactly where you need to be, but it's your intuition that needs to drive the car, not your five senses or your logical mind. So allow room for spirit to guide you, allow room for your highest self to drive the car, and you'll be very happy with where you eventually end up. Okay. Next up, we've got Capricorn. Let's see what we've got for Capricorn for this week. Okay, you've got two also. All right, Cap, first up, we've got Victory. Love that for you. And then we've got Yin Yang. So there is a certain balance that leads to victory. It's like there is this, I'm hearing like settling down of something. So something is peaceful, something is balanced, something is equitable even. And that's what leads to victory. So this is a week of success. This is a week perhaps where you're really balancing your masculine and feminine energy. And you have this, I hear homeostasis, like you have this peace, this tranquility, and perhaps that's a victory in and of itself. Like maybe life has been chaotic for you. Maybe things have really been busy or hectic or all over the place. I feel like this is a week where things calm down, things are imbalanced, and therefore you have a sense of victory. And it's not even victory like you win a race, right? Some of you, this could be a boost in self confidence, a boost in self worth, even that allows you to move forward fearlessly. So, either way, I feel like this is going to be a good week where things calm down and you can move forward successfully. All right. Next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we have for Aquarius for this week. Aquarius, we have the temple path. And this is all about your spiritual journey. Okay. Now, Aquarius, all of this Leo energy is happening in your opposite sign. Leo is your opposite sign. And so Leo requires you to kind of not only go left when everyone else is going right, but maybe you're on a completely different trajectory than everybody else. Whereas Aquarius is all about the collective. And so there's something about your spiritual journey that feels like you may have to go it alone at this time, or you may have to veer away from what everyone else is thinking, what everyone else believes in. Like it's time for you to I'm hearing it's time for you to get curious. Maybe you have your doubts about your religion, or maybe you have doubts or questions about what you believe and what everyone else around you is talking about. Maybe it's time to follow that curiosity, follow the temple path. And you may likely be following it alone. But what I love about this card is you see all these like fireflies. The path is lit. And all you got to do is follow these lights, follow your intuition, even if you're going at it alone. But you'll be glad that you did. And last but certainly not least, we've got Pisces. Let's see what we've got. Okay, Pisces. That came out real quick. We've got storm warning and we have attachment. All right. A storm is brewing. Okay. And although the attachment card in this deck typically it kind of denotes like codependency, all that good stuff, right? With a storm coming, you want to make sure that you are well anchored to something that will not fly away. Think of it like a ship. Think of it like a boat that is docked, right? If it is not docked well, if it is not anchored well to the dock to where it is, it will be adrift at sea with this coming storm. Now, it's not to say there's calamity and all of this stuff that is happening. What I really feel with this card is that things are in flux, things are changing. There is some sort of an upset or a shakeup. To what are you rooted? To what are you attached? With this being a number 5, it denotes change. Maybe you need to change what you are attached to. This really has an undertone of kind of what I was talking about before. This storm coming really has a lot to do with society and the world changing. This attachment has a lot to do with, well, what are your beliefs? What beliefs are anchoring you? You want to take a look at that this week and maybe make some changes, or at least start to make some changes. And the best time to do that will be at that new moon in Leo. All right, my loves. So that concludes this edition of the weekly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going forward. Again, for information on all of my products and services, all of that is either linked to the video or in the description box below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing week, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.